Hello everyone, I am Shyam Banka and I'll be going through this case study interview today. The purpose of this video is to give you an idea of how a case study interview goes and get you in the mindset of what is expected of you in a case study interview. The video is divided into two parts where I'll be going through the interview and present uh, how it present my understanding of it and analyzing how exact, in which direction the interview is going. And in the second part of interview, I'll present the overall structure and analysis of the interview. So let's begin. Today we are doing a case study interview of a retail bank as a client, and the all the text with the blue background are the statements of the interviewer, and all the text with the white background and blue text are the statements of the candidate. Let's begin. Our client is a major retail bank facing declining profits and is unable to compete. You have been approached to find the problem and suggest changes. As I always say, the first statement of the interviewer is one of the most important statements in a case study interview. It gives you the bracket of where exactly you have to focus on. So, client is a major retail bank. It's facing declining profits and is unable to compete. So, they're not able to compete. That means the competition is doing better, and there is a problem specifically with the bank. And still, we need to, if you get a chance, you should clear your assumptions with with the interviewer, and we have to figure out where exactly the problem is coming from, and we have to suggest changes. So it's a profit and loss case study, and let's see how it goes. Sure. So the key problem I need to focus on is finding the issue with declining profits of a client, which is the major retail bank. Is there any other objective I should keep in mind? No, please go ahead. So we are beginning the interview, and the interview is always divided into three sections. In the first section is we'll try to understand the business of the client and what the competitive scenario is. In the second problem, we'll try to structure the data which we have and then figure out where exactly the problem is coming from. And then the third part, we recommend changes and solutions. So let's begin with the first part. I'll start with a few clarifying questions. Is the problem plaguing most of the clients' branches, or is it specific to a particular category, that is metro, urban, rural of branches? So it's a good way to figure out, do we have to focus on top management of how things are implemented everywhere, or we have to focus on particular branch or particular bank in the banking in a client's banking system? The problem is faced by a specific branch located in a metropolitan region. Okay. Given the problem is specific to a particular branch, is it fair to assume that the problem is not faced by the banking industry in general? Are the competitors located in that region also facing the same issues? So, since we figure out that our bank in the first statement, the interviewer has said that only our bank is not able to compete, that means the competition is doing good. But if that particular branch is struggling, we have to figure out whether we are doing something wrong in the branch or there is something wrong in the area where every competitor is also struggling. So that's a pretty interesting approach. Um, no, the problem is faced by our client. How much have the profits declined by, and for how long has the client been experiencing this decline? There has been a decline of 20% in profit. The issue has been around for 3 quarters now. Okay. All right. Since the issue is that of profitability, could you help me with the trend in revenue and cost of that particular branch over the last 3 quarters? So now we have moved to the second part of interview, where we are trying to structure the problem and structure the problem which in revenue and cost, and figure out where the problem is coming from. Revenue has grown at a steady rate, but the costs have increased at a much higher rate. All right. In that case, I would like to delve into the cost structure of typical retail bank branches. All the costs of retail bank can be mostly divided uh, th- into three heads. interest, provisioning, and operating expenses. So this information of how exactly a cost of a retail bank is divided it's theoretical and needs to be known before if you want to take this approach. Do we have knowledge as to which of the above were not in line with the expectations of the clients? So the interest expenses is similar to the comparable branches, and the bad debt levels are also as par with the region. So there is no problem with interest and provisioning. Uh, okay, so the issue is with the operating costs of the branch. The major operating expenses of the branch would include employees' agent salaries, rent, utilities, stationery, postage, maintenance, depreciation expenses. So do we have an information of which of the costs have been increasing specifically? Uh, Visa Visa wise are competitors or in comparison to the prior periods. So when you are figuring out operating expenses, mostly in all the industry, the operating expenses remain the same, and you can get by exactly these expenses in any of the industries, which is employee salaries, rent, utilities, stationery, maintenance, depreciation. The rent per square foot is similar to other banks in the area and has remained unchanged for the past year. Maintenance, depreciation, and utility expenses have also roughly been the same. Okay, so that leaves us with the employees and sales agents' salaries, that is customer acquisition and customer handling cost, stationery and postage expenses. Addressing the issue of the employee and sales agent salaries first. Are salaries of the branch employee and sales agent higher than the industry standard? The salary structure of the employee and the way of for various positions is similar to that of comparable branches. Okay. All right. Can you give me some insights on the customer base of the branch? As in, was the demographic similar to that of other competing branches? Also, if you can help me with a few metrics such as number of customers served, ratio of low value to high value customers, etc. Okay, so one thing we cannot figure out, we didn't can have not figured out yet is the employee salary is also the same. So where exactly could be the problem in the in paying higher than industry standards to the salary? Also, the candidate has uh, diverged into a different category where he wants to understand more about the business at this moment. Uh, about where exactly the branch is and what customer base they're serving. The branch is similar to competing branches in all the above terms. The number of customers served by the branch is also roughly the same. Okay. All right. So primary facing the issue seems to be that of overstaffing. So very smart stuff that the salary of employees is same, but the number of employees which are not needed as to serve the same number of customers as competitors. Alternatively, given that increased employee expenses has not resulted into proportional increase in revenue from the branch, the issue can also be seen as that of inefficiency. Can you elaborate on how you will define employee efficiency? Employee efficiency will comprise number of customers served per employee, which will depend on the time taken by employee per customer and the total non-working hours. Yes, correct. So it has been observed that the time taken by employee per customer is high. Can you think of possible reasons for the same? The employee may be lacking competency or training, thereby being unable to resolve the issue of the customers in the first visit. Due to improper segmentation, the customer may have to visit multiple counters for performing a single task. So how do you suggest we overcome this? So it's pretty. So the candidate has point out few reasons for the problem and ask to suggest changes for this. You in the recommendation part, at least you have to suggest changes to the problems you have mentioned. So you have mentioned employee are not competent enough and lack training, and there is a lot of improper segmentation so customer has to roam on. So at least you have to present suggestions for these two problems, and also you can get creative and suggest solutions which solves the overall problem of the bank, which makes it efficient in these categories also. Let's see what the what the candidate has done. I can think of the following few steps. Encouraging the branch customers to use bank's mobile app and website for availing basic services such as transferring money and balance inquiry. Demonstrate the service required. So this is one of the suggestions which the candidate suggested, which is not direct uh, solution for the problem, but an indirect solution for it. Setting up a self-operating kiosk inside or outside the bank for deposit of cash and updating the password. This is also one of the indirect suggestions. So pretty good. The, the suggestions are pretty good. Train the employee as to enable them to better understand the needs of the customer and thereby assist them efficiently. This is one of the direct suggestions. The employees are incompetent, so you train them. And have a single window clearance for as many services as possible. So this is also a direct suggestion that due to segmentations, uh, you should have a clear window to you should have a single window for multiple purposes. Thank you. Those are reasonable recommendations. So the interview went pretty well. The candidate was able to give exhaustive list of a lot of questions asked by the uh, interviewer and finally figure out the problem and recommend changes. So now I'll be moving to the second part of interview where I'll be analyzing the interview and providing how the profitability uh, interview was structured. So yeah, that's the problem. Client is a retail bank facing profits decline, and we have been approached to find the reasons and solve it. Interview notes, issue with costs, low efficiency of employees, lacking of training to provide solutions to customers in one go, multiple visits by customer for any services. Case facts, the client is a major retail bank, problem of increasing costs, problem specific to particular branch, interest expenses and the bad debt level at par with other branches, fixed cost of employee salary similar to competitors. So one of the very important thing I forgot to mention that you should maintain such a structure or bullet points in your rough sheet also because sometimes after the interview the interviewer might ask for your uh, rough page and if it's very structured and very clear and if you understand this in one go you get really good brownie points for that. So approach, so the profit question is divided into revenue and cost, which is pretty standard. The cost, we were told to focus just on the cost side, cost for fixed cost and variable cost. In variable cost, there is non-performing assets, interest on deposit, customer handling cost. Um, in fixed cost, although this list is not pretty much exhaustive or structured, but okay. In fixed cost, there are rent, maintenance, employee salaries, and employee salaries depends on employees' key efficiency, which depends on total working hours and time taken by employee per customer, which is where the problem is coming. So, what are the recommendations provided? Improve the system in place to ensure the customer service is improved and the time devoted by an employee is decreased. Introduce single window clearance and self-operating kiosks. Give proper training to the employee to help them better assess customers, aggressive use and promotion of technology to avoid redundant tasks performed by employees. Okay, so on those lines, the suggestions were given by the candidate. So you have to think critically on what lines should I give suggestions and then provide suggestions on those lines. Observation suggestions. This is by the uh, interviewer. Declining costs are majorly due to higher employee salary. This can also be figured through higher customer handling charges. Once the problem is identified, it is important to figure out the reasons for the same. This can be done through industry-specific metrics, uh, which measures efficiency by productivity. Candidate needs to develop understanding of the cost structure of the banking industry. Like as I mentioned, the uh, the list was not exhaustive of what are exactly the costs of the bank, but the candidate got by it because it was able to structure it in a way and figure out where the problem is coming. So I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, and now you have a better understanding of how a retail bank and profitability interview goes and what is expected of you. Also, please do subscribe to the channel because I'll be uploading one video every day. And it's a very good practice for you if you're looking a career in consulting or uh, looking to crack this interview in recent times. So it's a very good practice to watch a new case study every day and get into the zone of how a case study interview goes. Uh, so I hope you guys learned a lot and hope you have a nice day. Bye.